Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles. I am delighted to be here with Pablo. I loved his film so much, Water Dreams. So welcome, Pablo. I'm glad we're here virtually to say hello. But for those that haven't seen it, let's take a look at a clip.
Dios mío, tenemos tu patria, ni dime ya.
Pablo, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for bringing your film for what was a very special event. But for those that haven't seen your film, tell us a brief synopsis.
Hi, Danny. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and also New Filmmakers LA. The film, it's about dreams. It talks about dreams from a Mayan perspective, from the Mayan culture perspective, and it's the story of an old woman that it's having problems with her dreams, so she decides to go with a shaman to look for help. There's the tradition and the idea that if something happens to you in your dreams, this idea is a Mayan idea, these dreams can represent in a parallel real life. So your animal soul in your real life can be in danger if you dream that the animal is in danger. So she decides to go with a shaman to ask for help, and the story it's kind of a fantasy, but also it's like a mix between fiction and documentary, because the characters and the places and almost everything was real. So it was like a mix between the fiction world, the cinema world, but also the realistic world.
I love that you did that. That's so brilliant, and that's so interesting because as a person watching it, I felt like I was in this like fantasy dream, but it felt so real at the same time. Like it really felt both of those things. And I love that you played with fiction and documentary at the same time. This place where you shot it, these wonderful characters, like I was just in it. Like it was an amazing experience to watch your film, and I love this story. It's where did the inspiration come for you in creating this particular story?
The inspiration started like some years ago. Since my childhood, I go lots to Yucatan and Quintana Roo, and I've been always amazed by Mayan culture and their stories. I think there can be lots of stories, maybe science fiction stories, but on a different way, that where always we see like science fiction with spaceships, with these special effects, and in the Mayan culture they also can go to space, but instead of a spaceship they may use a cenote, or they may use cosmology, or they may use the stars, or some other kind of science fiction special effects. So that always was for me amazing, and I wanted to tell a story about that, but it was difficult to make a short film without not much any budget. So I went to Quintana Roo, and there I started to meet people. I started to go to locations so I can find a story. And also in Merida, I met these amazing people making like Mayan cinema. and there is a community theater with local people that loves to act on the theater, but they do other things. The old lady in the short film, she sells cigars, and
Wow.
yeah, she sells cigars in front of a church, but she loves to act in the community theater. The shaman, he's a carpenter, and he lives as a carpenter, but he's really into Mayan culture to promote it, and also he's like learning to be a shaman. So when I met them, I like find the story easier because I was searching for this story, but meeting the people like connected me to the story, and I decided to do something. I went like twice with my camera, and the story suddenly started to evolve, talking with them. And one day I came back with a crew, a small crew, but with a black magic, like sound equipment, and I had this script about dreams, and I wanted to do that. So talking with the old lady, I asked her like, okay, can you talk me about your dreams? And she had these amazing dreams that was they were better than my script. So I decided to do it like more documentary and just let them talk. I told her like, can you please talk about your dreams? And to the shaman, I asked him if he can interpret her dreams. So they started talking, and it was like a dialogue between both of them. And I was like just recording and maybe asking them, can you tell your dream once again? But most of the times they just talked, and all I had to do is like make it like a fiction and put some music, and looking for good shots. But most of the story they were like talking in the real life.
This is amazing, Baba. I love that you had, local people that so happened to, be able to act in the local community theater and had a passion for this as well. I mean, in a way that was, and wanted to promote, what this is and tell the story and spread it around through film. And I think that's so wonderful. And it must have been quite a treat to, have some people that were so passionate about this, but also, you're kind of unfolding it like a documentary. I mean, it's technically, a mix of fiction and documentary. Did you discover doing it kind of in this particular genre and mixing it with both? Were you discovering things as you were going along a lot, or did you have a kind of formal script? How was that working for you?
I did like a storyboard of the things I wanted to shoot, and I I was on the location, and we started changing most of the things because there was the storyboard, but the places and the people always were better. So that changed all the storyboard and all like the things I wanted to do, and the creativity was in the place, like talking with them, with the DP, and the decisions were took on the exact moment because like we were shooting and things starting to happen. Like the old lady said, like, I have some chickens and I have some animals. I can bring them. And yeah, and all that was like unplanned, but it was better for the story.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Oh, it must have been such a fascinating experience being on set, with you and seeing this. Now, I love that you mentioned obviously there were some spiritual places like Yucatan, which is a wonderful place, to kind of really feel the spirit of this story. But I'm so curious, like making this story, what did you want your audience to kind of take from from this particular film? Because it is a very special film, and it is something that I wish more people knew about too.
I have the idea that when I was like in on Quintana Roo and Yucatan, there's lots of tourists always, and they are from all around the world, and everyone loves Mayan culture. They are really intrigued into the Mayan culture, the stories, and everything. So for me, it was like interesting to do a story, but I didn't want it to tell like this is the Mayan culture, and because I'm not like a historian, or I didn't want it to tell something that wasn't truth. So I used the ambient and everything that was around to tell a story about a dream about a crocodile, but I didn't want it to tell like, okay, this is what Mayans exactly think, because it was her dream. So in that way, it was what she dreams, but it adapts to the culture, and what the shaman was talking, it also adapts to the culture. So for me, it was very relaxing not to say like this is the truth of the Mayan people and this is how they think, but just leave them talk and leave them spread their ideas in a story, but a story that goes about a crocodile and like in a parallel side of telling like this is the truth. Instead, I wanted to tell a story with all that around in the ambience.
Oh, you certainly did it, and I really love the style of how you brought this film together. It was really special, and it really is. And I'm curious, what is next for you, Pablo? What's going on next for you?
I, I, I've been working on a script about cenote. I really love cenotes and all the suspense and like magic realism that they have around. There's a lot of credence about cenotes. They use them for sacrifices, and there's some stories that Mayans once went to the space on beneath from a cenote. There's a lot of ideas. Maybe they're in truth, but I'm writing. I just finished writing a story about a cenote that is in risk because of the constructions and all that stuff. So the old people from the town, that they are always the ones that are like interested in keeping their culture, they start to spread their ideas to defend the cenote, like telling their legends, telling what happened in the cenote, and they tell this to everyone. So the cenote, they stop the constructions on the cenote. So that's one story, and also I have like a different story that it's not Mayan culture. I love Mayan culture, but I also love to use the things I love from Mexico to tell stories. And I've been working also on a script about cumbias, this music on Mexico and Latin America. And and it's a family that has a band, like mom, dad, the sons, because most of the cumbia bands are like families, big families, and all the family are musicians on the band. So it's about a family that plays in weddings, events, and all that stuff, and it has lots of music and a familiar story inside.
Oh, I love the worlds you take us in, Pablo. This is exciting. I'm very excited. Now, listen, I know you're obviously accomplished, filmmaker. I'm just curious for anybody out there that is and I think particularly when you're telling really like, I feel like stories that we should be hearing more about that we don't necessarily in film as much. Do you have any advice out there for any other filmmakers that would want to follow in your footsteps that you go by as a filmmaker in your everyday life?
Yeah, actually, one advice, but it's like a mixed idea because maybe it happened to me and it happens to lots of people that all are into cinema. I didn't study film. So first I was frustrated, like I didn't study film, I cannot do it. And then watching like great filmmakers that didn't study any kind of film, I watched like they can be like authors and have a style because they are like inventing it in the moment. So my recommendation is not to know stories because they are amazing and I want to study something in film like a master soon. But my recommendation is when you want to do a short film or a story, it doesn't care if you know how to, because if you don't know, maybe you'll do something really interesting because you're inventing a way to.
I love that you said that, and you shouldn't have to worry about whether you go to film school or not. It doesn't mean you can't not make film. I think that's such an important thing out there, that you don't have to go to film school, to learn your craft. And I love that you just mentioned something we never really hear. I mean, essentially, filmmakers are inventors. You're inventing something, you're creating something. And I love that you said that, because that's, that should give you the confidence to know that, you can make it wherever you want to make it. And that's very special. I just I really can't wait to see this film about the musical family as well. That's going to be such a special thing. I just love the sentiments to your films that you make, and I just want to say thank you very much for bringing Water Dreams, and thank you, and just keep making more movies for us, please.
Great, Danny. Thank you, and thank you everyone in New Filmmakers LA. It was a great experience and really motivating for me to do a new short film and be back again with you guys.
Yes, please keep making more for us. We love it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.